Well, by now, you've probably heard this already.
And tonight we're getting some new details about that Trump-Trudeau dinner from two people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor. Brett.
Well, that's not surprising. We kind of anticipated an answer like that, and obviously with this is being casted all around social media. This came out about 9 or 8 p.m. Eastern time, this news, and everyone is now having a field day with it. We talked about it on Sunday, where both Trump and Trudeau came out of that meeting saying it went really positive, and yet we realized that Trudeau left the meeting and the idea of tariffs were not off the table. That clearly was not communicated, but they both said it was positive, meaning Trudeau went hat in hand, hoping to make something happen, coming at a spot of weakness because we have nothing we can do. And Trump said, deal with it. To kind of hear that joke was made, not surprising. And right now in Canadian political circles, people are having a field day with this. But more so, less than the comment itself, it's more that the reaction from Canadians is more so where it just shows you how demoralized this government has made everyday Canadians. I'll show you this. I mean, this by no means is a scientific poll. This was posted by the pleb last night on social media, just to get a vibe from the followers and those on X of how they feel about the idea of if, even though it was made as a joke by Trump, what happened? What would happen? How people would feel if America annexed Canada? The results of the poll are very interesting. Obviously, we only have 8,400 votes in right now from a very specific demographic. I'm sure we didn't poll from any left-wing circles. We didn't poll from any specific age demographic. As I said, a very unscientific poll. However, it is something that's very interesting to really at least talk about, right? You have the play ask the question, if America invades Canada, what would you do? Would you fight back? Would you help them? Or will you do nothing? And I kind of view the I will help them and I will do nothing as the same answer, which is about 80% of the vote. 80% of Canadians, or 80% of the people in this vote said, yeah, let them do it and I'll help them do it. Only 21% of these people are saying, I'll fight back. Which, even if this is just a right-wing poll, it shows you a little bit of how the right is feeling. They are so dismayed by our lack of leadership, dismayed by our lack of government, dismayed by the incompetence levels of this government and what they continue to do to actively fight against the desires of Canadians, they would allow a foreign power to take us over. So actually, I'm curious if, in our comments, what would you do? Would you fight back? Would you help them? Or will you do nothing? What would you do? Going into the comments of this is kind of interesting. It says, the day we decide to abandon what is Canada based on the governance of a weak prime minister is also the day we choose to abandon what our grandfathers fought for. True north, strong, and free. I have many American friends, but I am Canadian, and I'm Canadian forever. Auntie Allie said, the only outside sorts I would work with is aliens. When they say, take me to your leader, you can bet your ass I'm pointing them towards our government. Michael says, I'm truly not understanding the concept of saying I'm pro-Canada than taking up arms against Canada. Aiding a foreign nation to overthrow your own country is the largest single indicator that someone is a traitor. Then he obviously started having people come in and say, Anthony says, please God, make it so. And then the U.S. doesn't stand a chance, and shows obviously the Edmonton situation with the rough, terrible looking bear march. This is kind of how people are feeling. It's nice to see that the people that have influence on the platform saying this is not the way, this is not what we want to see. But as I said, it shows an indicator with how upset and dismayed and hopeless in some cases people are about our government, that they are willing to help a foreign power take us over. Like, it's not like when we in World War II went over to liberate Europe from Hitler. We went over, liberated them, we came back home, they kept their countries. That's not what's being asked here. It's, would you allow them to annex Canada and make us the 51st state? And they said, yeah, let them do it. Let's do it. And just as a fun little thought experiment, what would happen if that were to happen? If we became the 51st state, not break up Canada into different states. No, if Canada itself was its 51st state? Well, likely, Canada would receive somewhere in the neighborhood of 57 to 60 electoral votes. And we know how most of this country votes, since electoral votes are calculated based on popular vote. They don't separate electoral college votes in the United States. It's whatever the popular vote is in that state, that's who wins the electoral college votes. And the way things are going right now, that's our biggest complaint about our electoral system, is that Ontario dictates everything. And they would continue to dictate everything. And the United States would continue to be Democrat forever if this ever happened. You wouldn't even get what you wanted because Ontario would dictate where Canada's electoral college votes would go. So think again if this is something you'd want. Well, Josh, how are they even basing this off of this? What is happening here? Well, just based off of California, California and Canada have roughly the same population. And California gets 54 electoral college votes. So you can guess we're going to be somewhere in that vicinity. So again, as much of it as it's a meme on social media, as much of it as it's a big joke to some degree, there are people who are taking this seriously and who are so discouraged by what is going on, they'd welcome not a liberation for the American government, no. They'd welcome an annexation of Canada. And some people forget, because of how crazy politics have become, Canada is a different place. We do have different ideals up here. Yes, I know it's somewhat hard to believe that there was a Canada before Trudeau, but there was, and we believe in different values than much of the United States. I dare believe we do have different ideals than the people in New York, than the people in New England. Obviously, very different ideals from those in places like Texas, Florida. In the heart of hearts, even though it's not working right now, the system can work. And when it does work, I think most Canadians appreciate our healthcare system when it's working well. And it can work well when it's dealt with competently. There are things that people do take pride in. We are naturally a left-leaning country, always have been. Look at our political parties. Like, our conservatives, in some cases, can be viewed as left-wing in the States. That's how left-wing we are in our ideals. Even before the craziness of Trudeau and Trump, before those days, even then, the conservatives were left-leaning, would be considered left-leaning. Harper was further left than Obama in 2008. Our ideals are different. We value different things. As much as it's a meme of what Trump was talking about, it is a bit of a joke. If you are thinking seriously about this, it's not something you actually would want. You want to keep Canada Canada. But let's talk about more what happened in this meeting with Trump and Trudeau. At this point, they're reporting that these tariffs are, well, they're going to be unavoidable.
Administration's plan in the short term is to balance their federal budget using tariffs, and then after that, strike exemption deals on a country-by-country basis. So it really would appear, Renee, that in the short term, tariffs are coming. Whether or not definitively 25% will be the number, that is still, of course, unclear. But tariffs are coming, at least for the short term. It is a tool that the Trump administration is planning to use to balance their budget, and then will be willing to perhaps strike deal with countries after that. It would appear that the Canadian team, the government, is looking to position itself as well as possible, or as good as it can, to try and be able to strike those deals as soon as the Trump administration feels as though it's in a position to do so. So, of course, that was the administration's plan in the short term, is to. So
it seems like whether we secure the border and everything that Trump has demanded, even if we do so, it looks like these tariffs are going to be unavoidable. What I gathered, kind of reading through the lines of if this is true and what this man is saying, it sounds like to me that Trump's like, these tariffs are going on until Trudeau's out of power, and then we'll talk. That's kind of what I gathered. He said, they'll only be on for a short time. We're just trying to kind of regather and figure out our budget and repair our federal budget. And then we'll start talking about exemptions. And I do think that's political speak for once Trudeau is gone, then we'll have a discussion with the adults up there. That's kind of what I gather what's going to end up happening, which is tough because I know this holiday season, talking to different friends, different people are definitely feeling the pinch right now. And I understand that. And this year is going to be hard. It's going to be a hard year financially. And when these tariffs come down, which seems like it's inevitable at this point, regardless of how we respond to the border, it'll be tough. It'll be a tough time financially for many. And you can obviously thank our leadership for that. That's put us in the situation. However, who knows? Say we repair the border. Maybe it's not a 25%. Maybe he brings it back down to a 10. Maybe it's just not as severe. But we'll see what happens. All I'll say is, in terms of advice, don't be tempted this holiday season to spend beyond your means. Stay within a budget, stick to your guns, stick to what works. Because when pain comes and our dollar continues to be devalued over the next year, you're going to need as much dollars as you can possibly make to make sure that you can kind of bridge this tide. Because at the end of the day, as much as the joke of annexation of Canada, Canadians are resilient. People on the show, you're resilient. You are problem solvers. You know what you're doing. You are grown adults, and you have hope. You have hope in a representative class, but you're not relying on them to get by. You're not relying on them to make your life better. You just know how to adapt. And that's what Canadians got to do, and we will do. Deal with the hand that we're dealt and adapt. And be thoughtful and be creative, as we always have. That's how Canada got through the 2008 crisis virtually unscathed. It was definitely helpful that Harper knew what he was doing from an economic perspective. But as well, we as Canadians, that was one of the big stats. The conservative nature of Canadians when it comes to finances was what saved us through the 2008 crisis. We don't like racking up large amounts of debt. We typically like to make sure we are doing our best to stick to a budget. It's so much so the Canadian thing is it's been talked about on numerous occasions by this Trudeau government that we got to figure out how to get people to spend their savings to stimulate the economy. He's talked about that on numerous occasions. He doesn't know how to get Canadians to start spending their money because he obviously thinks spending is what's going to stimulate the economy. We heard Freeland talk about how, well, we're in a vibe session. It's actually not that bad. People just don't want to spend their money. No, I think Canadians are smarter than you think they are. And I truly believe that too. And before I send you on your way, I'll check this video out. Have a laugh.
That's a 5-minute misconduct. He knows. Next are off limits. They're off limits. It's a Tuesday night, boys. Relax.
You're lucky you still got the front row of your teeth, buddy.
Buddy, you're wearing a cheese grater. You throw pillows, kid.
Yeah, pretty good trade-off
pillows.
for you there, pal. Have fun laying brick tomorrow, boys. Have fun laying brick.
I work in finance.
Only way you're
dude.
getting on the score sheet is in the box.
2 goals last year.
You guys are actually bums.
And both of them
You guys
were
are
beat.
actually bums. You guys are the shooters. None of you can even shoot.
Trails, yeah, buddy. Dusters.
Oh,
absolute
trails.
dusters.
Keep your stick down or you're going to lose the front row of your
You want to get a
teeth.
pillow fight again?
What, a bird.
Hey? Maybe a little
There's a bird.
sleepover?
The Game of Thrones, you guys swinging those swords at us. Unbelievable.
Watch Mary Kate and Ashley. You want to watch Mary Kate and Ashley?
Have a good day, folks. I'm out.